That should be so. Kind of. Hello, one and all, and welcome to the weekly armchair kickoff. My name is Darragh, as your host, and we have a new show this week, and going forward, I should even say. We have what we now call the Red Devil Roundup. This is just a show basically where we're just going to talk United in general. We're going to kind of look across what we see on social media, what we have heard, and what people are saying, and we kind of go from there. It's just something new going forward, so a bit of a teething section, so do bear with us. I am joined by Stu. Stu, how are you getting on, man?
Yeah, I'm all right. I've had a hugely busy 3 months, but it's now my quiet period. So, I should be a bit more present than I have been over the last few weeks, which is good. But apart from that, you're all good. All good.
We're all good, man. And I'm joined for the first time in one of my own shows by Naomi. Naomi, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm so happy to be here, and especially for the inaugural episode of this show itself. Really excited. I'm doing good. It's October. It's spooky season. Just getting some pumpkin spice lattes and enjoying life.
There we go. We can all do our best to enjoy our bit of life as we can. So, look, I'm going to just open the floor here really with the main topic of what we're going to be talking about for the first show in the future of Erik Ten Hag. Obviously, we all heard the rumors of what could happen, what might have happened over the course of the international break. For all we know, something could still pop up in the next couple of days. Stu, I'll start with you. Were you surprised that nothing's happened over the international break in terms of the future of Ten Hag?
No, not at all. I don't even know why it's kind of up for discussion either. The guy's he's got a contract. We don't need to make any kind of announcement whether he's staying or leaving. The guy's got a contract, so it's just business as usual. He did the right thing. He fucked off to Ibiza or wherever he went. Had a week off. He'll be back now. Some of the guys will be back for training this week. We got Brentford coming up. It's just got to be business as usual. The problem you've got is it's lazy journalism. I've said this to you many a time. It's all about lazy journalism in the UK and probably over in the States and other countries globally, because Manchester United, whatever you say about them, within the paper, within social media, it gets clicks and views, it gets pairs of eyes, it gets pairs of ears. And that's the key element to anything you do in media work. Well, I do it myself. I'm a journalist, as you well know. So, I work in the MotoGP side of stuff. And we're not as clickbaity because we don't need to be. Information kind of filters through. You get to meet riders, etc. You can talk. The way that football is set up in the UK and the way that the media want it to be set up in the UK is perfect. Football needs to change itself before the media will, kind of stop doing what it's doing. And until football changes, gets a little bit more assertive, tells the media we're not interested in you, and kind of shuts up shop to an extent, you're always going to get this bollocks that you have with the way that, Ten Hag is. Look, nobody's really happy with the way that the season's unfolding, but it's not just the manager, it's the players. And again, I'm on record, Darragh, I'm on record.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah.
So, the players' accountability always gets forgotten. I've said to you before on many occasions, if I make an error on a Saturday afternoon, it's my error. It's got F all to do with the gaffer, F all to do with the coaches. And I've also said to you on many occasions, whatever you are instructed on a Tuesday and a Thursday in our case, but on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in the case of the lads, after about 2 minutes in a game, it all changes. Football evolves, it's live, it grows, during the 90, 95 minutes. And I'm absolutely astounded by supporters who clearly play the game and have an inability to understand the game. It honestly baffles me beyond anything. And so I take everything with a pinch of salt. I've seen it before. The trajectory that Manchester United is on is nothing new. You should have been supporting the club in the 70s. Trust me. You're in the doldrums. And again, I'm on record as saying this. There is a element of fans being spoiled with what happened through the Sir Alex years. They think that when they came to Manchester United, that's what Manchester United was all about. So my message to all one is, look at your history first and foremost. Understand what the club's about, understand the traditions and the values the club was built on, and then start talking about it. And don't come to me about styles of play, because that's bollocks as well.
That's what I was actually going to bring up next. I was actually going to bring up the fact that
maybe avoid that question, because again, as I say to you, when players are looking at stuff, they're not interested in a style of play. They should be interested in winning a game, and how you win a match has got nothing to do with styles. You know, the bottom line is there's 22 players on the pitch, 11 on each side. The goals haven't changed. The pitch size hasn't changed in, you know, since the beginning of time. So there's only a finite amount of space you can find on a football pitch, and the best way to find it is actually when you're playing the game. It's not what you're taught in the classroom or on the coaches or on the football, but it's actually during the game. And, you know, our players just don't open their eyes and they don't open their ears. And honestly, Darragh could go on forever, mate. But I'll just be quiet. I'll let Naomi speak.
I was actually going to bring Naomi in here. I was going to say, have you any different view to what Stu has been saying there, or would you be kind of like me? Like, I suppose before I let you answer, I kind of give my point of view here, where I've been on the defense of whether I back Ten Hag or what happens here, but at the same time, I've just been there like, if I look at some managers, the greater managers are able to adapt to, let's say, to the different tactics of a different manager, basically, while keeping their principles. I find in the last few games, especially, Ten Hag hasn't done that though. Now, Stu, you might think differently to me, and Naomi, you may also think differently to me, but it's just the way I've seen the team layout. You kind of saw the struggle of adapting to how it was in the 23-24 season, and we saw we had something good starting at the start of the 24-25, and now that's kind of gone out the window again. I don't know what you think, Naomi.
Yeah, I think Stu, that's very insightful, and I was kind of saying something across the same lines the last time I was live on the channel. Yeah, you know, like, for a fan, it's just emotionally exhausting to kind of go through this, like, manager roller coaster, basically. And it's also like the last time we had this conversation was in May. Like, it's really just exhausting. But yeah, you know, I think there's some responsibility to be placed on people on the pitch themselves. It's also like, again, like going back to what Stu said, like, you know, a lot of fans have been spoiled by like the previous times and the Alex Ferguson era. And I think that's true. Like, I think that's true. Some people who I respect in the community kind of have been saying something across the same lines. And I thought about that a little bit. Like, if 4 months ago, you know, we were like, okay, we're backing this person and like seeing what's going to happen. And then now we're like bringing it up. And I don't think it's like the fan community that's talking about it. I think the media just like plugs it into like all the social medias. There's like 1,000 articles about it. So like we have no choice but to talk about it at that point.
No, definitely, yeah.
And I think it's to me. So I there's a lot of things that in the last few games are like frowned upon that even I didn't agree with, but like it's just exhausting. If like 3 games don't go right, we're like, all right, like let's bring up the whole manager thing and let's drain out all the media with it. I honestly like try to stay away from it if it's all like manager talk or like transfer talk that's like not even gonna happen or something like that. I'm like, that's exhausting. I'll welcome them when they're there, or something like that. So
and I suppose I'll open it up to both of you here because Mark is actually after bringing a comment to us here. Why would they spend up to £40 million getting Erik Ten Hag and his coaches out that come out of the FFP now? Or I'll answer that myself. David Ornstein has actually come out and said PSR won't be affected should Erik Ten Hag be sacked, even with the payout of it. Believe what that of you will, but to bring in another manager who can't sign players because it go on bring him in and getting another out. See, I'm still I think I've been emotionally drained from watching anyways the last few weeks. That's how I would describe it personally anyway. How would you feel about
you've got to look at where we've been. I mean, you know, we went across to Porto, and we drew 3 apiece. Irrespective of whether you're giving away a 2-0 lead, you're still have gone to Porto and you've drawn 3 apiece. It's a really good result, that is. And then we've saddled that up with Villa, 0-0 at Villa Park. You've got to understand, and fans have to understand where you are in your mechanism of the season, and where we are right now is not in the best place. So to go away and get 2 draws away from home is good football, and you don't just get draws like that. You've got to work at draws. You know, Harry Maguire pops up, gets his header 3-3. You know, so those two, some of the goals that Porto scored, in particular their striker, that header was phenomenal. It was a brilliant header. You don't see that type of play anymore. You don't see the deep cross and the, you know, the striker getting his head, you know, diving in, so to speak, like that. His second goal, roof of the net. We had a conversation, Darragh, and Naomi. A lot of the fans had a pop at me over this, and also a lot of the contributors, where I said to you, Garnacho should have lifted it over Xerxes. If he puts that into the roof of the net, we've got no issue. Yeah. With that disallowed goal. So, you know, this is levels. Football is all about levels and an ability, but a brain to react quickly, sharply. You know, we've had it in the past with the likes of Van Nistelrooy, York and Cole, you know, Scholes, Keane, their ball possession, their ability to keep it, their ability to use the ball. We don't see that anymore. And so, you know, Ten Hag he's got problems, you know, let's be clear, he has, but he's got problems of his own making. I again, Darragh, you all know, because I've been on the channel and stated how we should be playing in terms of utilising Euro. Obviously got injured, so we couldn't do that. We've got issues now with Maguire, we've got issues with Mazzari, we've got issues with Martinez potentially. So he's got to take a step back, just take a deep breath, look at what he's got at his disposal, and work a solution with that. But ultimately, the players have got to look at it and say, "Hold on, we're not doing ourselves justice. We're not giving anything back to the fans. We're just taking our 200 grand a week, pissing off to Louis Vuitton every afternoon, and not bothering about what they should be doing." Now, back when I started playing back in the 70s, you know, players are on 100 quid a week, 50 quid a week. You know, it meant something to do that. Now, at my level of football, you can earn 100, 150 quid a game like that, plus a goal bonus. You know, and that's it. You know, I'm old, remember, I'm a geriatric in terms of football, but that's what you can do. So you don't get to Manchester United by not being a player that is capable of playing at the highest level. What you get sometimes are players that can't pull the shirt on and justify playing for Manchester United, and we have that element within our squad at the moment. And I've gone through the players, I critiqued the players who I think they need to develop, and you know why I think they should develop in those particular areas. But you're seeing the same old. You're seeing Garnacho get his head down and run, but you know he's still got blinkers on. He's not looking for Xerxes. Xerxes is not making the runs at the right time. Højlund isn't making the runs at the right time. But we don't cross from deep. We try and run them into the channels all the time. Yeah. I could go on, mate. I can just...
I mean, too, that just reminded me of like the time. So I'm like a big Rasmus Højlund fan, and especially in his first few months, I think we did like an absolute disservice with how we played him. Like, you know, he's a young player, and we kind of, we kind of like put him in a bit of a confidence crisis because a majority of the players were not passing the ball to him. Like that was a huge issue. You know, so they're like, you play soccer on the field. So just like making those decisions it's really important. And I think it's also like very important to like, it's fun to like talk about the manager and like try to place the blame in one area exactly, but we could never talk about this topic without talking about like the larger environmental issue that is like all across, that's affecting their environment, like all across United. Like it's a huge culture issue that's there, and like unless there's some sort of like stability and creating like a healthier work environment, it's still going to be an issue.
I see where you're coming from, because like I always said a trope last season, it was the fact that you could see Rashford, you saw Garnacho, you saw Anthony. Like I actually thought Anthony was the only one who was actually trying to give any service to Hoyland at any point, and that was the blinding issue.
Yeah.
Anthony is not one to give service, but I always said once he got kicking on until he got injured, was it February March? Hoyland was on absolute fire. So like, is it more of a confidence thing for some players, or is it just a case of lack of service, or even a bit of both?
It's not really lack of service, although Naomi was right. They went past him to him. She's absolutely right. But the problem was he was 2 yards slower. So when you're 2 yards slower than the people who are feeding you, you've got to look yourself and make a decision when to make that run, i.e. 2 yards before they start running. Or you get together in training and you do a quick 100-meter sprint between the three of you. You then calculate with your coaching staff the speed differential between the two. Who crosses the line first? Who crosses the line last? Hoyland's going to cross the line last. What's the speed differential? And then you adjust in training, or you adjust together, how Hoyland could get ahead, because he needs to always be ahead. And that's how you do it. So if Garnacho picks it up deep, Hoyland's got to go. So that when Garnacho takes it or Rashford takes it, Hoyland is arriving at the pretty much the same time, or just maybe a second quicker, for Garnacho to deliver the ball right to Hoyland's pass, and away he goes. And that isn't rocket science, by the way. That's just basic football.
But like, even look here, last year Hoyland had 5 Champions League goals from less than 10 chances, and this is meant to be the highest level. Like,
how many of those did he make of his own accord, though?
That's the thing. That's actually a very good point to make, because was it Galatasaray at Old Trafford, I believe it was, where he just literally took the ball, had that burst of raw pace, and just took it on and digs over the keeper. It's a very valid point. Look at how many of those chances that he actually took and scored.
His first goal in the Premier League, self-made.
Yeah. Again, point proven. Oh no, his first goal in the Premier League was that one against Villa, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah, self-made. In off the post, if you remember.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, because it kind of took a few bobbles and then it got to him.
Yeah. So it wasn't what I'm saying, it wasn't a deliberate pass. So if you look at Ruud Van Nistelrooy used to plan it exactly. So he would know that Beckham was going to deliver probably around 20 yards on the right side. Yeah. So he wasn't going to deliver on the corner of the 18-yard box, but that vicinity, whips the ball in, route an air bang, header, chest, whichever, and that's how you do it. And that's what we need to do. But I think we're better off, and I've said this right at the beginning of the season, Darragh, as you well know. You won't know this, Naomi, potentially, but I think we're better off with playing 2 up top, using Zirkzee as a floating 9.5/10. Hoyland's your point man. You've got Zirkzee in behind him. It does mean removing Bruno out of the system or popping him as an 8.
Yeah.
And you've got to make that decision in football. You've got to be ruthless in football.
Of course.
And it also means removing Garnacho's pace and Rashford's pace. But that won't matter if the game's tight at 0-0, 1-0, we're 1 up or we're 2-1 down. You then bring Garnacho, Rashford in, and you go for it with 4. So
and so when you say that, Stu, because like you're the tactical man here, would you say that would be in a 4-4-2 setup? Or would you
play 3 at the back. You play a nice balanced 3. And ideally you play Euro centre, De Ligt, Martinez.
Yeah. 2
wing backs. I mean, you just throw that up at the moment. Take your pick. You can play at wing backs. And then a nice 3. So you run with Agate in there. Now, the good thing about Agate is Yoro's got this ability to play the ball out very Rio Ferdinand-esque. You can actually drop Agate into hold and allow Yoro to go past him. So Agate played, I think, if I'm not mistaken, in the back 3 for Uruguay last night. Well, the night before.
Didn't check it, being honest.
I think he got beat 1-0, but he's got that ability to play there. So you've got Agate with the ability to hold and push into the back 3. You've got Yoro with the ability to play back 3 and push out when needed. In and around them, if you use Mino and possibly then pop Bruno and Mino together, then maybe I think with Zirkzee and Hoyland up top, you've got a much fresher, brighter approach. It does mean that the wing backs are going to likely to be overworked, but when we're being pushed on the break, with Agate being there, probably Mino, plus the 2 wing backs and the 3 centre halves, you should be covered in terms of position. So that's what I would do. But what do I know?
Well, you are our technical man here, David. Would you kind of agree with what Stu was saying about that two up front with the Xerxes and Highlands duo there?
Yeah, I was just thinking too, as you like went through that whole setup. I was thinking that, for a new team such as themselves, who like most of our players we got this summer, and then the other few we got last summer, which most of whom didn't play because of injuries. All these tactics, I'm thinking of like how they need to spend time together in training and like get used to each other, and really how they haven't been able to get a chance to do that. So that really just comes to mind, when we're going through like a tactical analysis such as
really good point, because your point you're making is absolutely right. But I would always counter with this. You're Thomas Frank this upcoming weekend. You're going to look, we've got Man United. Just do me a quick favour. Just look at the last 5 games. How did they set up? 4, 2, 3, 1. Well, there you go. He ain't got to do anything. He knows. So there are some times in football where it's not really tactics, Naomi. It's trying to flummox the opposition somehow, however you do it. And you're absolutely right, but we can't even execute a 4-2-3-1 with any great deal of success, or a 4-3-3. So I do think we should have the ability, when fit, by the way, this is only potentially operate when fit. Because you're right about the squad. We just don't have a fit squad. I mean, Vicky was telling me that Maguire put on his Instagram or something, he's out for a week or 2.
Oh, great.
So I haven't seen it. I don't know. I don't do Instagram, as you know, Darragh. Like that. So I'm not really sure whether that's the case. But I tell you something, and Naomi, you can probably... American sports is big on this, isn't it? Are you from America or Canada?
US, yeah.
Yes, yeah. So I've got quite a large family out in America, the St. Louis, Ohio side. And I know from listening to them when they talk about American football in particular, just because you're in the first team or you start in 11, when you get into that reserve squad or whatever it is, they're pushing and punching and kicking to knock you out to get into that first team picture. And this is what I want to see Harry Amas do, Collier do. I want to see these lads knocking on the door. Gaffer, Martinez is out, Malacia is out, Shaw's out. I should be fucking playing. Give me a chance. That's what you want to see, because that's what hungry footballers need. We don't have that. We don't see that. So we push Darragh to left side. Darragh's going to have to go right back. Maybe we see Harry Amas on Sunday. I don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. It'd be interesting to see, but maybe we do. And so I'm good for him if we do. Good for Ten Hag if we do. Because people are constantly, well, he doesn't do this right, he doesn't do that right. So fucking well, he's got nothing to lose. Ten Hag has nothing to lose. So I'd like to see that. I've seen it. Look, I'm not a big American football fan, but I see it all the time. Somebody gets injured, somebody will grab the shirt. They'll do everything they can to go, sorry, mate, and he'll stand on him as he walks past him onto the practice pitch. He don't care. Football's not that ruthless anymore. It used to be, but it isn't that ruthless anymore. Ice hockey, brutal, absolutely brutal. And I want to see that type of mentality, because we're not aggressive enough on the pitch. The red cards that we get are pathetic. They're stupid. They're silly.
Oh, we could be here all day talk about the brutal red cards, to be honest.
There's no real aggro. There's no real malice in there. So if you're going to get a red card, deserve it. Hold your hands up and say, fuck it, I don't care. Red card. Yellow card. Make sure it's a, ruthless yellow card. I've got nothing left to do. All I'm going to do is drag you back. If you've got a ponytail, I'm going to drag your hair. If you're wearing gloves, I'm going to hound you. I'm going to... and that's the type of thing that these players need. You've got to have that aggression in you, because it makes you a better player. I play on aggression. When I turn out on a Saturday afternoon, I'm an aggressive player and I play on aggression. And it keeps me sharp. It keeps me focused during the game.
But I suppose saying that as well, Stu, though, you have to think in the modern game, especially, and I don't want to be bringing the modern versus the
Bunch of
older stuff.
posers.
Okay?
Bunch of posers, all of
Yeah.
them.
Although, I completely agree, but that's the problem. You lay one, and like I suppose I take this mentality. I won't say I take this mentality, but like even when I'm going on the pitch, even the training pitch, if you have to give him an elbow, give him an elbow back. But you know damn well if that happens in the game, your opponent's going down, you're getting bulking minimum.
Yeah, I hear this a lot on like the Legends podcast and stuff like that. But they'll talk about like how when they were still playing in like the 90s or something like that, like United players would never be caught dead talking to the opposition team in the tunnel. And now we watch now we watch live streams and they're like all buddy. It doesn't really mean a lot to me because I guess I just wasn't alive at that time, but they talk about it a lot, so I kind of get it. Like, make football fun again, and get some freaking emotions behind it.
No, like fair, and I'll take this one actually, Stu, if you don't mind. It's because this one is a bugbearer for me, honest to God, because like it's not even just talk about United; it's talk about football in general on this one, because you've got to like you go back to, let's say, Keane and Vieira era basically, because the two boys wouldn't even look at each other. Half the England team are lining up against each other. None of them would even look at each other. But God forbid you have the two Spanish boys next to each other. They're hugging it out before they even walk up the tunnel. I can't stand it. I genuinely can't.
Well, I agree. It's a good point you bring up, Naomi, to be honest.
Yeah. And what you said, like, for the international teams, I think there was a little outrage just a few weeks ago when it was Martinez, I believe, and he posted a photo with one of his Argentina teammates who was in a match the day before. I forgot who it was.
Yeah, it was actually just before just after the international break started. It was McAllister, yes, for Liverpool.
Yeah.
Now,
it was the day after our game. Like, that was not cool.
I get it to an extent because I'm a wrestling fan, and as we say in the wrestling business, kayfabe is still real to us. And in that sense, when you talk about kayfabe, you have to make sure, even if you're actually buddy in real life, you don't show that if you're on opposing teams.
Yeah. And so you can do that, like you can go say hi in person, like you can even like have drinks that night, whatever, nobody cares. But you don't need to post it as a post on your Instagram and like it's only 2 photos and those are the 2 photos. Like that's just not classy.
No, but I mean that's what players are like, aren't they? That they love it. But I mean, there's a famous video, I think it was live on the television anyway, where the 2 Neville brothers, Gary was captaining United and
yes,
didn't speak to each other, just ignored each other, and that's football. That's what it should be.
Like,
Mark's made a comment, by the way, Darragh, that we play 2 up top. We don't play with 2 up top. We play with a single striker. You just have Bruno who pops in and is always.
I see it there now. Yes.
Yeah, we don't play with 2 up top.
Actually, Philip, I might get you to elaborate in the comments on this. Watch what Keane and Rooney said on the overlap. It was spot on. Now, having said that, I tend to agree with most of what they say, but obviously I haven't listened to this edition.
Yeah, I've checked it out on this topic, and they go on about this for like quite some minutes, but yeah.
I'd love to elaborate, but while he's typing that out, I'm actually going to take another one of his comments here. It's much deeper than the manager, though. It's the way that we've been ran for 20 years. Like, I don't know about you guys. I as much as I want to give up about the Glazers, I don't feel there's a need to give up about them anymore, simply because we're on the new regime. Because with the whole scenario,
we need to move on.
I like, as much as I want them out of the club completely. At the end of the day, who doesn't? We can't really say much until they're fully out the door anymore, because they no longer have control of the footballing operations. And until the time that they're completely gone, I actually can't really say we can say much anything about. Now, as Philip was saying,
Darragh, comment of the night. Put up Mark's comments. See, that's the comment of the night, because.
Oh yes, actually.
No, he's right. You don't. It's absolutely 100% there. You take a pot shot and it goes, "Wow, we've had 29 shots." Really? So,
yeah.
Do you remember, Darragh? I mean, you were on a show months ago, and somebody said either in the comments or somebody on the panel said,
Mhm.
yeah, we've had 60 shots against us. And I turned around and said, so what?
Yeah, that's a valid point.
I could shoot from 90 yards. It's still a shot. I could shoot from 90 yards. A really good point that by Mark. So
yeah, look, like, no, fair enough. A lot of the shots that I will say this much about that part of it. A lot of the shots that we did concede last year, they were just because our midfield and defense just opened like the Red Sea. Now that's fair enough. But if you're counting all the shots that are like 25, 30 yards out, like, yeah, fair enough, they were shot, but unless they had an actual threat to goal, and that's why I would prefer to see what the shots on target against us actually were before actually looking at the total shots against us.
Yeah, I just take no notice of it. The bottom line is, did they score or didn't they score?
Yeah, no, that's a valid point. Yeah. And like, even as Philip was saying, 3 months into a new structure, this was always going to take some time, and we knew this. But I suppose, I'm not trying to say I'm completely Ten Hag out by any stretch of the imagination.
I'm not.
I know, like, I'm still back him until the day he goes. Don't get me wrong. But I'm now of the opinion of, was there actually anyone other than Tuchel that Ineos would have actually taken going forward?
But I mean, I'm sure Naomi feels the same. Why would you take Tuchel? I mean, why would you change him and in 3 years' time have the same conversation? Because that's all we've done since Fergie's left.
Yeah.
Since Fergie retired, we've had the same conversation every 3 years, or 2 years, or 10 months.
Yeah, exactly. Like we just had this conversation in May, right? And then there was a whole like list of potential managers, one of which was Southgate. I don't know who put him there. That's always a horrible idea. Let's never do that. But like, we put like this list of potential managers, and I forgot who said it, but someone said Oli was too soft and now Ten Hag's too like strict. It's like, okay, you're gonna keep changing these managers. Honestly, I really don't care at this point if they like even do. It's been talked about so much. I'm just tired of it. But like, and then you're gonna bring another manager, like have him for 2 years, blame him for everything that's going wrong. And I disagree a little bit with like, like the Glazers, we can't do anything about them. So like, why do we keep bringing them up? It's, I think it was Paddock that broke the financial records when they made the deal with Ineos. Basically, they took all the profits from the deal, but then the fees, the transaction fees, which is somewhere between, I think, 48 or 17 mil, they took that out from the club. So, stuff like that matters. That's stuff that could be going back into like improving the environment. And like I said earlier, like they're literally in a toxic environment. So it's just easy to put it on one thing and like,
absolutely
it's going to be fixed.
Yeah, look, absolutely right. Absolutely right. I think.
And before we do move on to our next topic, I will actually bring in our lovely man Jarvis here, because Stu, we love a bit of Jarvis.
The big man himself.
Sure, Phil, but we put 3 past Porto, and our XG is minus. Is that meant to be a minus or a dot? My apologies. We should have scored 6 more goals in the league by now. I'd be more concerned if we weren't creating chances. And it is a valid point to make, because you look at that Palace game and, oh my God, as frustrating as it was.
Oh, it's ridiculous. But we are creating chances. And it's up to the players to put them away. I mean, Bruno this year has missed 3 or 4 goals.
Oh, scissors, really? If you're in England, like.
So you've got to take your chances. But it's all about. I think our overall play is better. I think our use of the ball is better. Our passing is a bit more crisper. Our movement seems better, but we're just lacking that finishing touch. And just recently, we've just had a bit of an issue in terms of staying in matches. But like I say, I refer you back to Porto away and Villa away. And, I was on podcasts and we're not going to get anything out of Porto. We ain't going to get anything out of Villa. How do you know? Just have a bit of faith. Have a bit of faith. Well, anyway, at any given time, right, you can go on a football pitch and win 6-0, just like that.
Easily.
And you wonder why. Because you don't know. When you come away and think, well, we were great today. Yeah, but why? Why did we get beat 4-0 last week and we won 6-0 this week? It's one of those. So.
And look, again, we caught with attention talk about these kind of things at times, but I'll bring it briefly, albeit, to the international break, seeing as we are coming toward the end of it now, back into the Premier League again. Stu, I have to ask you as an Englishman, how does it feel not having a United player at cause for an England loss?
Well, you know, it's the difference of. I mean, look, Greece battered us.
Mhm.
I mean, we beat Finland tonight 3-1, but Greece absolutely destroyed us. They had the ball in the net 5 times.
Yeah,
If I'm not mistaken.
I'd have to go back and watch the highlights
I
myself.
think it's at least 5 times, and obviously they beat us 2-1. But you know, it's all about taking chances.
Mhm.
Football is, if you get into that critical area and you take that chance, you take your shot at the right time, you take your chance, you win football matches. And I thought Greece were a much better side. I mean, look, we beat Finland 3-1 tonight. It doesn't necessarily matter. International football doesn't really float my boat, really. I mean, you
When
know,
does it ever?
I mean, at our age, a couple of our players who play with us, they play for England over 50s, you know, and, you know, it is what it is. It just is. International football's boring.
And I'm assuming this is keen under the channel's name itself. Killer is having a storm for Ireland against Greece.
What's the score?
I don't even know because I haven't actually, truth be told, I haven't actually been keeping track of
What
it.
is the score, King? So, let us
So
know.
if we go live, 0-0.
Oh, well, I bet he's got to be having a stormer then, because Grace put 2 past us, but as I said, out the ball in the back of the net, I think 5 times. So.
Yeah, like it's a shame. He's a Corkman of my own heart, but my God, I hate the fact he plays for Liverpool. I really, really do.
Yeah. No, look at that. What a score. What a result.
Is it halftime already?
What's half time? Bloody hell.
I was just going to say I lost track of time and everything.
Just for the record, I was in Dublin yesterday, by the way.
Oh, I was going to say, please don't tell me you went to Temple Bar.
No, I don't do Temple Bar. No. I had to fly in for a business meeting, and then I had a couple of Guinnesses while I was there. It's,
of course, has to be done. Has to be done.
But yes, no, I didn't go to Temple Bar. My plane was full of. Well, I'm sure you know.
Oh, we won't say no more. We won't say no more. You know, I suppose the international duty doesn't really. No, you can tell me if I'm wrong here. Does it matter over in the US as much as it would, let's say, with the US and Canadian teams?
For soccer?
Yeah.
Yeah, no one cares about soccer, man. I try to get them to care, like whenever I'm at like work or like school, I'll be like, you know, try to get them a little engaged. But no, it's actually difficult to find your soccer communities here. So once you find them, you gotta stick to them. But
fair enough.
Usually for the big games, like the England games and stuff, there's a couple bars downtown that host them, so we'll go watch them. And there's also like the official United fan club bar. I think it's called the British Bulldogs. So they'll host them. So if you're like in the mood for it, you can go watch. But yeah, I usually care about England just to see like the United players in a good mood.
Which part of America are you from?
I live in Denver right now. Yeah.
Colorado. Colorado.
Yeah, in Colorado. Yeah. My family's from like East Africa, Ethiopia though. So that's, you know, there's a huge like soccer community there. Like everyone watches soccer.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how like I got into it at an early age, and then it wasn't like a big part of my life, and then now it's like back.
No, at the same time.
So are you is it cold over there in Denver at the minute then, or is it warm?
No, it's actually so warm. I'm wearing a sweater because I'm inside, and like it's okay inside, but if you go outside, it's pretty warm.
There's parts of Colorado that are beautiful, aren't they? The Rockies and that, it's just stunning.
Oh yeah, so beautiful. Like even just on your drive to work, like the mountains are, you know, popping every day. The sunset, it's really lovely. Yeah.
Great.
I suppose to bring it back to international, then I suppose the fact that there's not much of an emphasis on the international break over in the States. How does it going forward? Say for United purpose, we have 3 players that have to pull out of international duty due to injury. Someone can correct me here. It's Ahmed, Martinez, and Garnacho, if I'm right in saying. All 3 pulled out. So going forward, does that kind of put us in a bit of a predicament?
Dang, that's heartbreaking.
Yeah, so I'm there like, does that put us now in a bit of a predicament going forward?
Yeah. Wow. I didn't know that. I'm like heartbroken right now. This is like international football. They take them, like they injure them, they bring them back. And this happened with Luke Shaw. Like they knew he was injured. They knew he couldn't do it.
Oh.
They took him, injured him, gave him back. Like, and then when Onana refused his Cameron call, Onana refused the call for his country. So I don't know how he did that, but I wish more players would learn how to do that. Like really.
Yeah, no, like with Onana, there's so many different things politically going on there, and you could be here all day talking about that. Then really, like what? There's part of me that they're thinking, thank God there's no Irish players in the United squad anymore, because I know damn well international break ruins players and turn back injured. But you brought up the fact that Luke Shaw went to the Euros. During the time of the Euros, myself and Stu were here. I'd say the two of us collectively got out of red for about 10 minutes just talking about the fact that even as an Irishman, I said Luke Shaw shouldn't have gone with England to the Euros because Harry Maguire pulled out, and Harry Maguire was in a race to fitness, whereas Luke Shaw was indefinitely injured, and he still went.
And look at him now.
Exactly.
I'm not looking at him now.
And then it's like, even if you bring them back physically fit, like it's usually Southgate, like he would do something stupid, like not play Marcus Rashford and give him 5 minutes in a losing game, and then he like emotionally can't recover from that for the next 3 months.
Yeah, no, you're right. No, you're absolutely right.
Oh man. And I suppose we'll bring it forward to what we're due to expect for this week with Brentford. You kind of touched on it already, Stu. Thomas Frank doesn't really need to do much going forward tactically wise because he knows what we're capable of or not capable of in that sense. Can Ten Hag actually strike something out of the bag?
Well, I have to be careful what I say about Brentford because a couple of years ago I accused them of playing under-8s football.
Oh.
And I got absolutely battered by the Brentford supporters. Absolutely battered me.
Oh, man.
Told me I knew nothing about football, etc., etc., etc. There's a problem with Brentford because you never know what you're going to get. So I'm going to be trying to be kind to them, but it's difficult. But what they do have a habit of doing, and this is where we have got to be on our mettle, haven't they scored something like 5 or 6 goals in the first minute?
Yeah, in Wembley especially.
Pretty much since the inception of the season. So I think for us, that could be a real problem.
Yeah.
If we go ahead and we can't seem to hit the back of the net. I think it's going to be very, very... it's a game we should be winning.
Mm-hmm.
Structurally, Brentford aren't great. They've got a really good, solid manager who knows how to play against Manchester United.
Mm-hmm.
They know they press quite quickly. But, I mean, again, I refer to pressing as just the basics of football.
Mm-hmm.
It is, people say, well, high press, low press, zonal press, close press, far press, press ups, sit up, and all this kind of stuff. All the press is something, the opposition has got the ball and you stand in the vicinity to try and dissuade him from going left or right and giving you the ball back. That's what a press is. So you hear it all about high press, low press, and all this kind of stuff. But they run around rapidly. You watch, they go from side to side, and they're in your face constantly. Bang, 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 bang. They're like gnats. And we've got to be able to kind of stop that. And you've got to keep a team like that at arm's length at all times. Mm-hmm. And you do that by what I kind of call, you play what I call hide and seek with the ball. So you get the ball and you move it. You get the ball and you move it. And you keep them away from you. You keep them running and running and running till they're blowing and they're panting. And then that's when you strike. So teams like Brentford, you have to play possession football. You've got to stop them from getting at you. So as soon as they come in, you pop it off. As soon as they're anywhere near you pop it off. And you make them work. And if you can do that, come 60 minutes, they should be tired. They should have to rethink what they're going to do as a strategy. The other thing is, Ten Hag's got to do something completely different. He's got to either overload the middle or overload the top, as I say, with two permanent-ish strikers, whether you play Xerxes or not, it is what it is. but I need him to show the American fans. There's a lot of the Irish fans, all the fans globally, just something a little bit different, because that's what Thomas Frank will do. He'll push and he'll push and he'll push, and he'll try and turn us over on the counter attack. So possession football is the key. Allow them to come on to you, pop it off, find yourself that little yard of space that you wouldn't normally get with Brentford, and then exploit it.
I think I can answer that straight away for what you were saying, Stu, about overloading the middle or overloading the two up top. It'll be the up top will be overloaded because you look at the way our midfield situation has been the last 18 months.
Yeah.
It's non-existent. So basically, he's going to have to overload up top because I genuinely think we still get overrun in the midfield, going off the way Thomas Frank sets his players up, especially.
Yeah, I mean they've got a bit of speed about them. They're quite good in transition and possession. But again, if you play a possession-based game against them, yeah, it's true. We United aren't fit enough to do that.
I was going to bring that up. That's a very valid point.
But if you play possession football, you don't have to be the fittest in the world because you're the one that isn't chasing. You're the one that's got a hold of the ball. So I'd be an interesting. I don't know what Naomi thinks, but I think it'd be an interesting game. I don't know. Do we play Saturday at 3? Is it a Saturday game?
I believe it's Saturday at 3. I was actually double checked that. I believe it is though. And even Jarvis, Brentford is the exact game I hate. They're perfectly set up and fine to play against a team like ours. We need to bring the A game, and it's very true. We're not the fine-tuned team we're made out to be because we have the names. It's been like that since Fergie's left. Basically, we've had the names, but we haven't had the adaptability to actually play the way we should be playing. Is the best way to describe it.
Yeah, the B teams, the teams which start with letter B, like scare me really often.
I love us.
But I think we're coming back from the break. There's a lot of criticism, and they listen to all the criticism. I don't think they block it out. I think they hear every single one of it, and usually that's able to motivate them a little bit, drive them a little bit, even if it's just for one game. So I hope we see something like that, just like coming back from the break. They've been able to do it in the past, so hopefully they show us something a little different. Fans don't want to be upset too. Like we want to be relaxed and. I also want the fans to be positive and not fall for the media stuff. The media is just making great content. They don't care about how you feel. So try to separate yourself from all the propaganda that's being pushed out and choose what you consume.
But genuinely, to take on what you said there, we actually watching football. It's our downtime. We should be relaxed watching it. I can't remember the last time I watched Man United. Outside of that 7-0 game against who were we playing? Barnsley the last time? Yeah. Other than Barnsley, I can't remember the last time I actually watched a Man United game and sat there relaxed. I genuinely can't. And I think that's a damning sign.
You just need to relax. I mean, look, I'm older than you by a good 20 years, I think, Darragh. I'm not quite sure. I'm
about that, I'd say. I'm not going to guess your age either, but
I'm probably miles older than you, Naomi, bless. But, so I'm used to it, so I can just relax a little bit. Yeah, not a little bit. Thank you for being kind, but no, definitely not. So I can kind of relax. My missus a few years ago, she would be going absolutely up the wall. Will you stop shouting at the TV? Do my head in and all that. Because I was getting emotionally invested in it, and it's no good for you. So I don't get emotionally invested in it anymore. I'm invested in the game. But I tend to, me and my good old mate Jarvis, I tend to watch the game unfold and I try and look at it and think, well, I would do that and I would do this. And, and that's how I like to watch football now. I like to understand the game more than watch 22 morons kicking a ball around because ultimately that's what modern day football is. That they're all posers. They're all in it for themselves. They don't care about fans anymore.
No.
And when players do actually care about fans, and do actually care about their CV, do actually care about winning, you see what the likes of Rodri can do to a team by himself. You see what the likes of Edison can do as a goalkeeper. Same with Liverpool. Because, because these players, they want to enhance their CV. They want trophies. Because ultimately, when you hang up your boots, you're going to have 200 million quid in the bank. What if you've got nothing to show for it?
Exactly, yeah.
It's hardly got anything to show for it. Phil Foden has got, 5 Premier Leagues, 6 Premier Leagues?
Yeah.
A Champions League, a World Club Cup,
And then you look at Harry Kane.
He's got exactly. But Kane, he's one of those players that tries. He tries to go out and win a game of football. And we must try and win a game of football. We must show, as Naomi says, that intensity. We must show that desire, that absolute will to win. You don't walk off the pitch, you crawl off the pitch because you've got nothing left. You're bleeding, you're bruised. We don't see that with our team. Unfortunately.
And I think that's actually one of the best ways to wrap up the first episode of the Red Devil Roundup. Lads, everyone in the comments, absolutely fantastic, brilliant, engaging. Naomi, Stu,
absolutely great.
Brilliant to have you.
I've enjoyed working with you, Naomi.
Thank you so much. Sorry, Stu, what'd you say?
I've enjoyed working with you. You got this is
you great insight.
This is going to sound so patronising, and it's not meant to be. But you've got really good knowledge of and handle on the club. So.
No, genuinely, and I didn't want to come across that way either. But it genuinely is fantastic.
Keep coming on. Keep working with you're an asset. It was really good.
Thank you. I'll be back. So glad to be here.
And we will gladly have you back. So, guys, once again, thanks for being on for the first episode, the debut episode, and there will be plenty more to come. Everyone in the comments, thank you so much. And for now, we shall say goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.